Yeah, they're just, they're playing at a really high level right now. You just have to give them all the credit. They're playing a really good game. With the goaltending that they have, any breakdowns or he's putting out those fires. And we just couldn't get the first goal. We just couldn't do it all series, and that plays right into their hands. They have, especially their top four defensemen are big and heavy, and they do a good job of just clearing pucks and throwing them out of the zone, and we just like I said, I really felt like in any of these games, probably outside the first one, games 2 through 4, if we just could have found a way to get that first goal, could be a different series, but we didn't, and you just got to give them so much credit. They're playing unbelievable right now.
Go back to Ken Weeb for a follow-up. Go ahead, Weaver.
Like, how would you describe the impact of losing Mark Scheifele to that 4-game suspension?
You can't. I mean, he's a top 10 player in the NHL. I'm not saying that it's gonna just we would win the series, in 5 games because he was in the lineup, but it just changes our team. It makes he makes me better. He makes Kyle better as a line. I think that we're able to do some things that are, pretty dynamic, and from there, it just the matchup just works a lot better for us because I think then we can rely on our depth a lot more. We can rely on Adam Lowry's line coming out third, and they dominate in that 3-hole, and just makes our team look a lot different. So it's a damn shame.
We'll go next to Paul Friesen from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Paul.
Blake, as good as Montreal was, what was lacking in your team's game?
I don't look at it that way, Paul. To be honest with you, I think that it's such a fine line. Instead of hitting a post, if it goes in, we had one of the power play tonight with virtually an empty net, and it hits the top of his knob. I mean, these are things that you don't understand that completely change the dynamic of a game, and they didn't go our way. But with that being said, that's because of how they played. I'm not going to sit here and say that we played 4 of our 4 best games of the season. I don't think so, but that's because of how they played. That's a reflection of how well Montreal is playing right now.
We'll go back to Paul Friesen for a follow-up. Go ahead, Paul.
You had some words with Connor Hellebuyck there at the end. Was it a matter of saying he did everything he could and you guys just didn't support him enough, or how'd that go?
That couldn't be further from what I said to Connor. That'll stay between him and I, but I would never go to one of my teammates and tell him, that the rest of his team was crap, and I would never do that. I think that Connor gives us a chance to win, and he's a part of the reason why the future is bright with our team.
We'll go next to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks, Gregor. Hi, Blake. I know it's super fresh. Is there any solace that you take at this moment of having given Winnipeg and the community fans something to cheer about through the first round up until this point?
I mean, I'm happy you said that, Murat. It's been a really hard year. It's been a really hard year for the players and our families. But I think, especially, looking at how things are in the United States right now, and Winnipeg is code red and everything's shut down and kids aren't in school. I mean, my family feels that just as much as any other family. And I think even the economic impacts of that in our community are far reaching. So we know that we have a community and a fan base that is going through a really difficult time right now, especially when they turn on the TV and they watch the other playoff games and see 18,000 fans without masks on and having a great time. So to answer your question, I mean, after those Edmonton games, coming out of the rink and seeing our fans honking the horns and, lighting up the city that was one of the highlights of this whole season, and honestly of the whole last 18 months. I mean, that was like, it kind of gave you a life again to want to, do this for Winnipeg and keep put on a show for them, keep giving them something to watch. I never would have thought this would have gone 4 games. I'm just, I think that's one of the most disappointing things is, people have nothing to do and we were giving them something to do. And so, we feel bad about that.
Go back to Murat for a follow-up. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks, Gregor. Just following up on the emotion of that, was it a particularly isolating feeling for you and your team this year, kind of maybe up until you saw those 500 fans or whatever it was that really you just referenced that really gave you something?
We got to be really careful complaining about our situation. There's no question it was a really hard year for us and a really challenging year. But like I kind of was pointing out, especially in our community, and it's been a really tough year for everyone. And we've had the privilege of playing a game and like I said, trying to bring some joy to our community and to the people, and especially kind of the end of the season and the playoffs. And so I can't even remember what your question was, but I think that's kind of how we felt all year, that it wasn't so much about how hard it was for us, because we looked around and it was hard for everyone, and that was the most important thing.
Thanks very much.